guys, Dry here, coming at you with another video. This time, we're back to doing some nice little rundowns, little reviews. Today's flavor will be the new Devil May Cry series. Now, I always talk about how big of a fan I am of something, obviously. Batman, big fan, almost encyclopedic knowledge. Other things, probably lacking because, you know, I'm dumb and I am too obsessed with one thing at a time, more often than not. But with Devil May Cry, I think it's a nice, interesting relationship I have with this series because I knew about the lore and learned about the lore, watching the cutscenes of all the games, you know, watching the anime, long before I ever tried playing it because I knew how hard it was, but also it was very hard for me to get a hold of these games until recently when they went on sale. And I was like, you know what? Especially with this new anime coming out, I have to play the games. Right now I'm on DMC3. I'm trying to play everything in order and I'm just having so much fun, but it's also hard as hell. But I'm gonna give it hell, just like I did with Elden Ring. Now, moving on to the series, before I get into anything too deep, I just want to say I had a lot of fun. You know, I always have fun watching anime, you know, a new take on something like, or something as well loved as Devil May Cry. But overall, it was a good time, and I want to tell you guys why. So let's get into it. All right, guys. Now, as far as the story of this particular new Netflix series is concerned, think of it as, if I had to sum it up in one sentence, it's kind of Dante's new origin of becoming the Dante, we know and love, right? Badass devil hunter, demon hunter. Because this is a very young Dante, very much Devil May Cry 3, but a lot of the things we see throughout the traditional series, while they appear in this show, it's almost contradictory to it. Like, if you thought it was going to go by the traditional canon, this one does not. It takes a couple pieces from here and there and it kind of melds them all together, and it makes it a unique, like I said, an interesting take. I don't know if I dislike it. I definitely know I don't hate it, at the very least. I don't hate it. I think if I give it a second watch through, I'll actually enjoy it more. But again, it's not going by, you know, the current canon, right? Once again, it's a younger, like, Devil May Cry 3-esque Dante. The government here knows about demons. Their whole thing is they're trying to, you know, find Dante's amulet so that they can either seal off the demon world or just, you know, blow them all to bits because, you know, that's what the U.S. government does, baby. Team America. Anyways, a couple other interesting things that I found. You know, Lady, right? She's kind of the big controversial, you know, talking point of this series. And I'm not going to say it's because she's a woman, because this, and that, because she's obviously a huge fan favorite. Otherwise, people wouldn't be as upset about it. In my personal opinion, though, the only reason I didn't like her is because I felt like her character was written by a middle school boy who was told, hey, the assignment is write a badass female character, right? Every other, not literally every line, but like she's kind of dropping a lot of F-bombs for like no apparent reason. Not that that's the bad thing, but it felt like weirdly forced. She was very, very blunt, very not, I'm not trying to say she's not likable. I just found it her whole personality to be just like, I am big, strong person, big, strong hunter. Not bad, but it doesn't seem organic to our lady, or at least, you know, what the fans know as a traditional lady. Anyways, between that, Dante not knowing about his past, and then just seeing a couple characters who, you know, are considered bosses or you know, future devil arms, future weapons, kind of show up in places that they shouldn't be as far as traditional canon is concerned. The twins, right? Agni and Uru. Oh, I always forget his name. All those demons, they're bosses in game, but it's very clear. It's like, hey, they shouldn't be here in this present moment because traditional canon says this is what happened, this is how it happened, when it happened. For me, the other thing that was like kind of a hugely interesting take right, was Virgil, right? Virgil appears. He does make an appearance, and I wish I saw more besides, the shapeshifter in the beginning. But in this version, he is already being controlled by Mundus. He is already functioning as, the demon knight Nello Angelo, but he can also, retake the form of, the traditional looking Virgil. Very interesting for me. I don't know if I like that, because obviously in the traditional canon, which I'm going to just keep referencing until I, find a need to stop. But, all that doesn't happen until, like, in Devil May Cry 3, Dante obviously defeats Virgil. He goes down back into the demon world. He fights Mundus. Mundus takes control of him, makes him a slave, makes him Nello Angelo, right? So I'm kind of curious to see, are they now saying that he becomes Nello Angelo right off the bat so Dante can free him and they can have a big brotherly moment, yada, yada, yada. I feel like that's where we're going with it, but I'm not totally sure. We'll have to see in Season 2. Again, a lot of interesting creative liberties. Overall, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, mostly because I'm recently getting back into the fandom, like I said earlier, right? Playing the games, learning about the lore. I don't know if these things all play such an important, role in why I love the series. For other people, it might be a little more, close to their heart. They don't want any change. That's fine. By all means. If you don't like it for those reasons, totally understand. Last thing, though, on the story. This one is more of a me moment, right? I'm making it about me. Deal with it. This is my video. I do what I want. But in the beginning, when I heard Vice President Baines talk, I was in the middle of grabbing something. I think I was like looking for my phone. And when he spoke, it was like hearing a ghost. And man, did I have to do a double take, because I knew exactly who it was. And it was Kevin Conroy. I knew he had a role in this. And when I heard his voice, and when I, got to watch the entire series, even though he was a not so good guy, hearing his voice was like a true joy for me. And it really goes to show, like, I'm gonna be that guy, but a Devil May Cry. But again, overall, story-wise, I'd have to give it, I want to say, like because I had fun watching it. There's like a lot of great sequences, a lot of great action. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 as far as the story, just purely the story is concerned. So 7 out of 10 with the story. Let's move on to the music up next. All right, guys, now as far as the music is concerned, this was so fun to listen to because they just put so much. I feel like even though it wasn't like this originally scored, like, they didn't make songs just for this. Well, they did make one song. Evanescence came out of retirement just to make that song. I thought that was amazing, and that's part of why I watched it. But, well, besides being a fan. But their song choice, whether it's the intro song, keep rolling, 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 baby. Every song that they decided to go with, I thought was just like cherry on top of the cake for me. It made everything feel that much cooler, and we all know Dante's a cool character, right? So when you're playing music like this, it makes me think, yo, this is really, really cool, especially when Dante's kicking ass. I will say, though, my favorite moment, during the chase scene, they started playing Last Resort by Papa Roach, and I was so hyped. I was ready to get in there, start boxing demons on my own, bro. That was so hyped. And they only just picked it up from there, honestly. Like, I thought it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. For me, the score, just because, and also because, I'm nostalgic. I'm getting old now. I had so much fun just hearing all this music with the intense, rapid, non-stop action whenever those scenes happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a solid 9 out of 10 for the soundtrack. That's just me, my opinion. Let's move on now to the last portion, the visuals. All right, guys, last thing, we have the visuals. Now, everybody knows I'm huge on the visuals, and I felt like they did such a justice to Devil May Cry as a series, as a game, for essentially what we saw. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Deal with it. Anyways, no. Animation design was fantastic. I thought the overall quality of it, how cool everybody looked, and we'll get to character design here in a little bit, but I thought it was exactly what I would have wanted out of a modern anime. It very much gives me Castlevania vibes as far as like just how slick and amazing and cool everything looks. But again, overall, no complaints there. Some hiccups, though, I will say there are some small hiccups, usually in the form of the demons, right? Because when we get close up to them, a little more CGI, a little more 3D. Wasn't the biggest fan of that, but it wasn't so bad that I was like, I don't like it. It was more like, okay, not my preference there, but again, not bad. It didn't mess up my head or break my immersion in any capacity there, but it was definitely something I was like, oh, okay. Not the best choice in my opinion, but what do I know? I'm not a video editor. I'm not a graphic designer. What do I know? But up next, character design. Guys, I absolutely love the character design. For characters that we kind of already knew, they stayed, true blue, right? Dante looks fantastic as always, right? I wish the sword was a little bit bigger, a little more robust. Look, I love that word, robust. But that's neither here nor there. Obviously, we don't see Ebony and Ivory as two pistols quite yet because he's obviously, just crushing the pistols. But overall, character design was pretty solid. Once again, the demons, they look fine as far as their general design. It's the 3D aspect in some areas that I'm just like, not my preference. But again, they look cool. They look cool as hell. The only thing I kind of had like a weird, and not a problem with, it was just like the Darkcom team. I was just like, it just felt so out of place, because this high-tech team. Usually I just see guns, leather, swords, and demon, and usually not technological armor, but it's neither here nor there. Like I said earlier in the story portion, they took some creative liberties, and I'm not mad at that, right? I will say it was just a little off, but the one thing that did just kind of make me go like, what? Was they had one girl on the Darkcom team who just looked like Nightwing, and I was like, yo, my Batman senses are going off. I was like, all right, we already got, Kevin Conroy playing Vice President Baines, and now you got this chick who just looks like Nightwing. I was like, come on, you guys are teasing me way too hard at this point. It's gonna make me cry, literally. Actually, I might cry, but that's beside the point. But overall, character design I thought was very, very on point, very true to overall Devil May Cry, canon, Devil May Cry, gaming, all that stuff. Like, it looked fantastic. I loved it. The last thing I want to go over was just the action scenes, man. Those, I should have covered this in the story portion, but Devil May Cry is known for being cool and not taking itself way too seriously, right? It's very much in your face with like, hey, like, we're doing this over-the-top stuff and we don't really care who knows it because that's who we are, right? Same thing goes for the story, as even though like the parts that are serious, it's like, hey, it's not what's the easiest way to say this? They're not out here trying to win an Oscar or a Tony or whatever. I don't know what the award is. They're not trying to win the award for best story. They're trying to put together a cohesive story that's also cool and kick-ass. And also, what is the game about? Total nonstop action, high pace, insane moves, and the animation delivered on that. The action scenes were fantastic. Like I was saying in the sound section, or in the soundtrack section, when they were playing Last Resort and Dante was chasing the White Rabbit all throughout the city, I was so hyped. I almost got up and boxed some demons. I'm going to say it twice in one video, and I love it, right? They really captured the over-the-top nature that is DMC, and that was something that just made me, like, even more than the soundtrack, just made me so happy, because even though the story wasn't what I wanted, the visuals, the character design, the over-the-top nature was all fulfilled, and for me, that speaks volumes for a series like DMC. So for me, gotta say, overall, I love that. 9 out of 10 as far as the visuals are concerned. So wrapping this up with my final thoughts. Now, overall, like I said, story-wise, creative liberties, could use a little bit of work. Not mad at it. I'm really not mad at it, right? I'm not the most hardcore fan. I'm curious to see how they take what creative liberties they did show up, what they kind of mixed and matched from the series into this one, and see how they go about moving forward. It'll make for a unique story to tell, or a unique way to tell Dante's story, a DMC story. Once again, soundtrack, 9 out of 10. Visuals, honestly, you know what? Let's go back to that real quick. I'm gonna go 9.5 out of 10, right? 9.5. That might be a bias. That might be controversial. This is my video. This is my opinion. You can deal with it, right? Anyways, 9.5 out of 10 for the visuals, 9 out of 10 for the soundtracks. You know what? I said 6.5, 7 out of 10. Let's go. We'll go with 6.5 to 7, depending on how I'm feeling, out of 10 on the story. Again, can use a little bit of work, can redeem itself in the near future, but overall, I still think that this TV series has a lot of life, a lot more of the story to tell, and honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Jackpot, baby. I know I'm not the best at this. I'm really corny. Please leave me alone. Please don't bully me on the internet. But that will, for me, with that Jackpot being said, I'm going to go ahead and give this show a solid 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, baby. I want to see more. I'm going to get back to playing Devil May Cry 3, and I will see you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed, like, share, and subscribe. Check out my new videos about me as a strength coach reacting to anime and superhero training. So, once again, like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.